Welcome to the CEO Shift with your host, Shondell Spader, owner and CEO of Spader Group. In this series, you'll hear fast, focused conversations with business leaders and experts who've made the real shifts needed to scale past the plateau. Each episode delivers CEO level insight in 15 minutes or less, because real growth doesn't need more noise, just better decisions.
Well, welcome to the CEO Shift. I am looking forward to introducing you today to Mr. Rick Whittington. Rick is the president of Whittington Consulting and a digital marketing agency specializing in making their clients' website a sales engine. Rick leads a team of 5 digital marketers who are skilled in creating websites, HubSpot consulting, and digital marketing. Rick, thank you so much for joining me today. I am excited to hear all about you and your consulting business and marketing agency.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah. So as we dive in and we start talking about, you know, what CEOs, what we're trying to help CEOs learn and hear about, profitability always comes up, right? And I know that you and I have had many conversations about just these different areas of business, whether it's been struggles or successes. And I would love for you to share, the your journey to profitability, how you maintain it, how you dive in and really like have that solid foundation that again I've been lucky enough to hear about.
Yeah, so I've had the business for 18 years, and all of those 18 years have not been great years, right?
Right.
We started, and it was sort of an accidental thing where I was bored at my job. I put up a blog, people started to read the blog, and then the classic content marketing tale, people start to write in on the website and say they need help with their website or they need help with their marketing. And I would do that. And then after about 2 years, it just became really obvious that I was going to make more money doing that than working a full-time job. So I quit the job and started to do this. And it just became, it was one of those things that it worked organically. And then I
Right.
hired my first person, a second person, and then profitability started to go downhill. It's not really something that I paid too much attention to. But I knew that if I was going to continue to do this, needed to start to learn more about it. So I
Right.
did. And through the course of time, it was really about 2017 or 2018 that I really started to dig really deeply into this because at the time, we had fluctuated between maybe 6 and 9 employees. And I realized this thing was getting too big to be under control. And it's at that point, I think business owners start to realize, that they're not working in the business, they're trying to start to work on the business. And so that's what I got
Yeah.
serious about. And I discovered the book Profit First by Mike Michalowicz. I know that not everyone necessarily subscribes to that methodology, but for me, it's more than a
Yeah.
prescription. It's more of a mindset. And the mindset is if I, the business owner, am going to stay interested and engaged, I need to be making some money too, right? And I'm not saying that we need to
Absolutely.
be exorbitant with that, but we definitely need to make it. I need to make enough to make it worth my while. The same or
Yeah.
more than working at a full-time job. So
Yeah.
that was really how that journey started. And once we started making some changes to the way we did accounting and the way we, pay myself, the way we pay our employees, really this is filtered down. That methodology has filtered down into everything in our organization, from our positioning to our pricing, you name it. It's really filtered down into that over the last 6 or 7 years.
That's awesome. So, Rick, I'm curious, do you use profit first, like exactly as the author like breaks that down the methodology, or have you tweaked some of it to kind of fit your needs a little differently? And let me ask you, let me tell you why I ask, I guess, not to put you on the spot or call anything out. It's so we have lots of clients that we run profit first with, right? And some want to follow it right to a T, and others have kind of morphed it into their own versions that are still very successful. And if Mike ever listens to this, I'm really sorry. But I'm guessing it's not going to come across his his feed here. But Yeah, I'm curious how, if you've tweaked it at all.
Yeah, I would say that we don't follow it to a T. We've sort of adapted
Right.
it for what we do. The big concept is just thinking about profit as the first thing that you take and then running your business off of the remaining amount of money, right? So we want to shoot
Right.
for a 20% margin. Do we hit that every month? Absolutely not. Do we hit it every year? Probably, I would say absolutely not. We do
Yeah.
mo like I would say we do most times, but with Agency Management Institute, we subscribe to a lot of their methodologies, a lot of the ways of thinking.
Yeah.
And so we shoot for 20%. We don't always get that because, as you know, income, cash flow fluctuates.
Yeah.
But we're really aiming for that. We do have three other buckets that we use. So we have the income
Okay.
bucket. So everything that we make and we make money from sales and we make a little bit from commissions and things like that when we
Yeah.
refer business to other people. That comes into an income bucket. We have a tax bucket. And what I've done over the last 6 years is just calculate how much of our income goes out to state and federal taxes. And so we put a certain amount of that in the tax bucket. And then we have the profit bucket and we have the operating bucket. And as you would imagine, a large share of that goes into the operations bucket. That's where we
Right.
pay salaries. It's where we pay, software expenses, things like that. But on the 10th and the 25th of the month, just like the book says, we basically take that income account and we divide it up. I just have a spreadsheet that I
Okay.
use. I put in the amount that's in the bank. It gives me all the calculations. I will adjust those calculations. So if we're having a really, really good month and we haven't had a bad month in a while,
Yeah.
I'll, ease that profit distribution up a bit. Well, but that money does, so where we differ, I think, with Profit First is where that money stays in the business. So the profit money stays in the
Right.
business and about once a quarter, and that's not a by the book kind of thing, but about once a quarter, I'll look at that and say, is that something that we can take a distribution and maybe put that into an investment that's a little bit more interest bearing or allow it to
Yeah.
grow a little bit more? So that's what we do, in a nutshell.
Yeah, no, and that's great. I always love seeing the different ways that people run it because I love the concept. I think the concept of making sure that we are getting paid. Our teams are folks who are making it happen, right? Making sure that we get there, meet the goals. They all deserve to be paid and taken care of. And I think it's so easy to forget about ourselves. So, um, we have we have suggested profit first in the manner of not, the book. I think where a lot of people sometimes get lost, and we're not here to talk about the book by any means, so we're going to move on. But after reading the book, it's like, well, if I'm not $1 million in debt, how does this apply to me? And it's been cool to see, like, you don't have to be $1 million in debt, but take the concept of how you manage the money, whether you're in debt or not, is really cool. So thank you for sharing. That wasn't where I meant to go.
No problem. Yeah.
So
Glad to help.
yeah, let's dive in. I would love to talk about, more um, the things that you're passionate about. With diving in to the overall business, kind of the way things are changing. What are you seeing as something that is really top of mind that CEOs, business owners, agency owners really should be looking at and taking, time to pay attention to and learn right now?
Yeah, so I run sales at our company and I talk to a lot of different people at, different kinds of companies. So, yesterday alone, I talked to a medical organization, I talked to a manufacturing company, I talked to a
Yeah.
lot of agency owners because I'm always in that space. Um,
Yep.
I tell my team that my job really right now is to try to figure out how to be relevant in 5 years. And I want to make sure our business is relevant, not just my skills, but also the business. And I tell them,
Yeah.
they need to do the same thing. I mean, we need to be learning about all the things that are, top of mind right now. And I think, for me, obviously AI is a big topic. I know, some of your guests have talked about it in the past. It is something we're trying to figure out. I don't
Yeah.
think, I really, truly don't think the AI is going to replace a marketing firm. Um,
Right.
it can, like if for any of our clients, I think that they could go get a marketing plan on AI, but it's not necessarily going to work for them. we've seen, AI hallucinate and all those things. But really, I mean, it's really
Right.
how that filters down to all the other parts of our business. So right now, I'm really digging into our positioning, and
Okay.
I'm making some slight changes. And this really does tie back to the profitability conversation too. I actually did an analysis of all of our deals over the last 5 years, and I realized that they all had the really good ones had some similarities. And so
Okay.
that will allow us to, charge more for our services while still offering a fair price for the client, but also allowing our staff to potentially get paid more or offer more benefits or the things that we really want to do. So
Yeah.
those kinds of things are really what I'm looking at right now. It's not just about where is AI headed and how is that changing our business, but also how is that filtering down inside of our organization? How is it changing our positioning? How is it changing the way we go to market? How does it change the way we message? And so I think that that
Mhm.
is a really important thing for people to pay attention to right now. I know, a lot of companies we work with, we're doing SEO and content marketing and things like that. And I really don't think that will ever get old because people still want to do their own research before they talk to someone. And so I
Right.
don't think search engine optimization is going to go away as we know it in the next 5 years. But I think that, being there for an AI answer engine or an AI overview or something like that is very important. So
Yeah.
we're trying to make some changes, to the way we do our own website to be able to accommodate for that.
That's awesome. I love how focused you are on that, like, how do we stay relevant? Like in so many conversations that you and I have had, like that's I that just it bleeds through every conversation, I feel like, right? We're usually talking about AI, and Rick's brilliant mind around AI is helping me utilize AI in a greater way. I think, well, I don't think I remember, Rick, when you had shared with me one of your wonderful, beautiful tools. And I was like, oh my gosh, I finally have seen AI be like effective for me. So the reason I share that is when you said, like, you don't think it's going to replace the human factor completely, right? It's not going to replace a marketing agency with real people. Like, for me, I've witnessed that the AI is only as smart as the questions I'm asking, right? Like it can dig in and it can do those things. And that's where, when I had said, like, this is the first time I've really seen this be functional and helpful and go beyond what my expectations were of it. So like not just helping me write, a message in a card, which is really what it had been prior to our conversation. And I guess that was really eye-opening for me because it, it totally speaks to your point of it's not going to replace the humans because again, the humans have to learn, or we need to learn as owners and CEOs that we're going to drive it, and it's going to help improve us and enhance what we're saying and what we're trying to get to and lead us down some of these different paths. And I agree. I could go on and, click around and say, give me a marketing plan. And then what am I going to do with it? It's a piece of paper at that point, and now I have to figure out how to execute it still. And AI isn't going to come into my office and execute it for me. So I think you're spot on. I think it's going to enhance so much of what we do, shorten that time frame of how we do things, um, and just help move things forward at a greater pace, which I don't know, that's kind of scary too sometimes if you think about how fast things are already moving.
Yeah, for sure.
And
Yeah, I mean,
so,
I dig really deeply into these tools, and you're absolutely right. I mean,
yeah,
it can do a lot of things. It can create great prototypes, but really getting it
yeah,
across the finish line in a responsible way. So I noticed that it can create applications for you, but they're not always secure. So you wouldn't
right.
necessarily want to deploy that for a client. I just think that there's a lot of things. There's still AI has a long way to go. And I
Yeah.
think that we're just starting to scratch the surface about, what it can do and what it will be able to do in the future. But
Mhm.
it is certainly starting to filter down in the organization and try to, change the way we do work for sure. We really use it as a skills gap. So to fill skills
Yeah.
gaps. So we don't have an analyst at our firm, and we use AI to do a lot of analyses and to try to get us to think about things a little differently than we're used to thinking about them. And for us,
Yeah.
that's been the real main takeaway with AI is yes, there are some productivity, increases and some efficiency gains and things like that. But for us, it's the ability to be able to train an AI model on a particular client and say
Hmm.
what's missing from this web page. what questions is their target client asking that this page doesn't answer? And we can then help
Yeah.
to fill them in on that, include them in on that so that they can have something that's more effective.
Well, and how many clients, even though it's their business and they live it day to day, they can't answer that question always, right? Like, I mean, it seems like a simple question and it just turns into something that's like, oh my gosh, I have no idea. Like, it's just a little bit deeper than where they really think about what's happening. Or they haven't tracked it. They might know it, they just don't realize that they know it because they haven't tracked, oh, that question's come up 10 times in the last week. Okay, maybe that's something we should start talking about.
Right. It can really make
Yeah.
their work more intelligent just by, you know, helping them brainstorm, helping them come up with ideas
Yeah.
that they hadn't considered before.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Um, as we're still thinking about, CEOs, some of our CEOs are jumping in, this is their first time or they're pretty new in it. Others are seasoned in it and in a spot where maybe they just feel like they're stuck, right? So what do you believe that the, CEOs need to do to make, grow their business, lead more effectively, do the things that help them really truly move forward and reach their goals?
Yeah, I think, there have been many, many times in the last 18 years where I've been stuck. And I would say I probably go through some of those sticky points about once a year. And
Mhm.
sometimes it's just a motivation thing where I kind of lose my own motivation. And I find that when I lose my own motivation, it's because I'm not living in my zone of expertise. So
Mm,
one of the things that I like to do twice a week, I do this 2 mornings a week. I block out time on my calendar. I call it planning time. And it's really time for me to think about, where are we going to have our company retreat in the fall? Or, what positioning changes do we need to make? What messaging changes do we need to make as a company? Um, I'll research benefits. I'm actually today going to watch a video on 2026 planning and how to think about that
okay.
and planning for 2026. And really just taking some time to really look at the business without any interruptions. So cutting off Slack, putting the phone
Mhm.
away. Sometimes it's even just taking out a sheet of paper and start to write. For me, I find that, you know, what gets me unstuck is when I go and I start to plan out, like, what are the things that we could do
Mhm.
in the organization to solve our biggest problems? And what's my plan B? So
Okay.
the interesting thing is when you sit down with a sheet of paper and you say, if this business came to an end today, what would I do? And you start to
Yeah.
write about those things, you realize what you have in the business. You realize that you have freedom, that you have, choices you can make. You know that you work with great people who are super skilled at what they do, so much more skilled at it than I am. And so you start to realize what you actually have and it starts to motivate you. At least that it does for me.
That's a cool approach. I like the plan B. And there's obviously so many things that are like, oh, if you have a plan B, then you're not all in. And I've never subscribed to that. I also like to plan with the end in mind, right? Because no matter what you're doing, there's people involved, there's relationships involved, and I don't ever want a business decision to ruin a genuine connection and relationship, friendship, whatever that might be, right? Um, so I've hired plenty of people that I've been friends with for many years prior to working together. And some have worked out excellently and others have not. And because of whatever personal reasons, right? And that's always been one of my biggest things is I don't want to, tear down any relationships for that. So planning through the plan B, and the only thing I guess I would add is that like I really do plan for, okay, if this were to end, how does it end? Like what, how do we mitigate pain, if you will? Like there's going to be, it's ending, but sometimes ending is great too. Um, I had a new construction cleaning business in college with one of my greatest friends, and we ran the course. It was a huge cash cow, unexpectedly to us. We were naive and silly and thought, oh, great, we can go clean houses, right? New construction houses, and we made a killing at it. And at some point, like 2, 3 years down the road, like I moved, she started a family. Like it just had run its course. Didn't end, of course, everybody around us was like, oh my gosh, are you guys okay? Like, yeah, we're fine. Like the business didn't define our relationship does. So,
Yeah, that's it. I
yeah,
mean, you have to plan. I think you have to plan for plan B because at some point it's going to come to an end.
yeah,
Either I'm going to get to the age where I want to retire, or someone could could come buy the business or whatever, right? I mean, there's so many ways this all could come to an end. At some point, I'm not going to be here anymore. And so,
Right.
you're right. How do you want that to end? Do you want to
Yeah.
plan for it now, or do you want to just sort of let it happen and hope everything works
Yeah.
out? Personally,
Yeah.
I'm a planner. I'd rather plan for it.
Yeah. Yeah. The hope everything works out. I like some things that can apply to not my business.
No.
You know, and I'm at that stage too, right? Where like my kids are too young to even consider like, oh, are they going to take it over someday? I mean, if they want to, great, but I don't want them to feel pigeonholed into needing or having to take over the family business either. So, I think we're not anywhere near the end zone. But yeah, I have some parameters of how I would like it to go because I don't ever want my team to be hurt by that. I don't want our clients to be hurt by something like that. I don't want any of that. So yeah, pre-planning for even things that go a different direction is important.
Yeah, I mean, I owe it to my employees to figure out
Yeah.
what that end looks like, right? Because I want to handle it responsibly. They've
Yeah.
put in time with our
Yeah.
company, and I respect that. I want them to make sure that whenever this thing comes to an end, that they're in a good shape, they're in a good position.
Yeah. No, I think that's great. All right. So last thing we'll dive into today is I would love to know if you have like a specific story or a mindset shift or a strategy that you just think it would be important to highlight for our listeners today.
Yeah, I think that just being grateful for what you have is a super, super thing.
Yeah.
Like I said, the more time you take to really reflect on things, you start to realize as an agency owner, as a business owner, you have a lot of really complicated and complex problems, but you also have some really good opportunities and a good life. And that life is sort of up to you. You can either look at the glass half empty or half full. And I think that looking at it half full, the fact that you get the chance to spend time with great people that you work with, who are not only professionals, but they're great people and they're
Mm-hmm.
interesting and they have interests that are different than yours. And that in and of itself is just really interesting. I think the other mindset shift is just curiosity, just being curious about how the
Mm-hmm.
world works. Um, I really learned this the hard way with AI because I dismissed it early on, and then ChatGPT
Okay.
came out, and like everyone else, I was like, what is this new thing, and how can I use it, right? So I think
Yeah.
that dismissing things is not necessarily the way to go. I think it's just being curious, trying to learn as much as you can, just continually learning new things, and trying to just accept the fact that you might be wrong about something. Like I
Right.
know certainly I tell myself every day, like I think it should go this way, but I might be wrong about that. So maybe I need to get
Yeah.
another opinion, or maybe I need to ask someone at the company what they think
Right.
about that. But you know, for a, for a CEO and specifically with the finance conversation, I would just say that profitability is really important to keep you engaged
Mhm.
because that is how a lot of us get paid through
Right.
either some percentage of the profit or a mix of profit and salary. So that's how we get paid, and it's good to motivate yourself that way too.
Yeah. Rick, I'm so grateful for you to join us today. Thank you for sharing. I always love our conversations. How can folks get in touch with you? Should they want to reach out and learn more about your agency?
Yeah, LinkedIn is probably the best way.
Okay.
Rick Whittington on LinkedIn and reach out. I love to meet new people. I love to talk about, share. I'm an open book. I'll share anything about our business, and I like learning about how other people are running their businesses too, because like I say, I'm probably not right about everything. So I like to hear how other people are doing it and how other people are seeing things happen too.
Yeah, I love that you have that open mindset of, I think you're doing a lot of things right, Rick, again, from the conversations we've had.
Thanks.
But I love the openness of like, tell me more, show me something different and help me learn. So thank you for being here. We'll have your links and things, of course, along with all of the recording information that goes out. So thank you for being here, and I look forward to our next conversation.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks for tuning in to the CEO Shift. Ready to take your next step as a strategic CEO? Download our free 4-step CEO decision guide, the exact framework business leaders use to stop spinning their wheels and start scaling with clarity. Grab your copy at spadergroup.com/CEO-guide and start making decisions like a CEO today.